Hi, everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm joined by Ben Mankiewicz from Turner Classic Movies and everywhere else. Hi, Ben. How are you?
What's up, Jimmy?
All right. So right now, let's get to, you know, we elected a black guy president 3.5 years ago. So racism's over in America. I like racism's over. No matter how many times they asked for his birth certificate, they would do that no matter if he was, you know, Puerto Rican or white. And so... Let's enter John Sununu, right? So we've already seen the race baiting coming from the Mitt Romney campaign. Mitt Romney himself said in Michigan, nobody's ever asked for my birth certificate. I know, because you're a white guy. Okay. And that's really funny. So he said that. They put out that welfare ad, right? So there's a lot of race baiting still happening, and the news media has been turning a blind eye to it as if it's not happening. You can't call a politician a liar when he's lying, and you can't call him a race baiter when he's race baiting. I don't know why that is, but here's John Sununu. Now, I don't know if you know, John Sununu is one of the co-chairs of the Mitt Romney campaign, and he used to work in the George Herbert Walker White House, and he had to resign because he's a criminal. Yeah, he
didn't just work there. He was the chief of staff. He ran that White House.
Yes.
That was his White House. He was arguably the second most powerful person in the country.
Yes. And he was also, I'm pretty sure John Sununu was born in like Costa Rica.
Cuba.
He was born in Cuba. Yeah. To Ecuadorian mother and a Palestinian father, right? And the reason I bring this up,
birth certificate,
is because he a couple weeks ago made the statement saying that Barack Obama needs to. I wish Barack Obama would learn how to be an American, which is just kind of ironic. Barack Obama. Okay, so here he is. Talking about the Colin Powell, he endorsed Barack Obama again, Colin Powell. You know, that's my favorite thing. People go, well, the news media is biased because most of the people who work in the news media voted for Barack Obama. That doesn't mean they're biased. That means they're not mental. How about that? That means they're not mentally challenged that they vote. That's all that means. Okay, so here's John Sununu telling you why Colin Powell endorsed Barack Obama.
Colin Powell has decided to opt for President Obama again, despite apparently still being a Republican. Is it time he left the party, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure how important that is. I do like the fact that Colin Powell's boss, George Herbert Walker Bush, has endorsed Mitt Romney all along. And frankly, when you take a look at Colin Powell, you have to wonder whether that's an endorsement based on issues or whether he's got a slightly different reason for preferring President Obama.
What reason would that be?
Well, I think when you have somebody of your own race that you're proud of being president of the United States, I applaud Colin for standing with him.
Johnson, nice to talk to you.
Okay, first of all, woo, and second of all, I like how Piers Morgan just like, oh, well, that wasn't that important. We gotta go sell some soap. It's unbelievable. It's like, oh, and John Sununu, any parting words? Yes, I have proof 9/11 was an inside job. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for being with us. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, in Piers Morgan's perhaps defense, not having seen it, you never know when they're like, you gotta go. You got like it was already over. They're like, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a great way to end it with that giant bombshell. And
so when I saw this happen, I knew that my main man, Howard Kurtz, who hosts Reliable Sources on CNN, he's a media watchdog, right? He's a media watchdog, and if he was just a regular watchdog, he would, if someone broke into your house, he would have his teeth planted in the mailman's ass. While the guy was raping your wife and stealing all your stuff. That's the kind of watchdog Howard Kurtz is for the media, all right? Okay? All right, so here he is, and he's talking about what John Sununu just said. Let's hear his assessment, the watchdog.
But you know, what Sununu said was blunt and probably dumb, but, you know, the idea that African-Americans would feel some solidarity with the first African-American president doesn't strike me as a, you know, horribly racist thing to say.
Yeah, doesn't strike him as a horribly racist thing to say, says the out-of-touch white millionaire who ought to know.
Yeah, I hate the use of the word. He did throw dumb in, but blunt.
Yeah.
We like blunt. Blunt is a compliment.
Yes.
You just compliment it. We appreciate people who are blunt and open and honest in that forum. But the open and honest thing to say is that, you know, this is the new racism. This is what racism is now. We don't have Bull Connor hosing down people demanding the right to vote and eat at a shitty diner. You know, it is the top advisor to the Republican nominee for president saying of a 4-star general or former head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the 65th Secretary of State of the United States, he didn't know what he's talking about. He's just doing it because it's a black guy.
Yeah, can you reverse it? Say that, let's say, John McCain, he's only endorsing Mitt Romney because they're both white. Well, imagine how horrible that's, but somehow it's okay to say it about Barack Obama.
Yeah, I mean, all over Twitter, and so I don't want to take full credit for it, but as thousands of people, I think, had the same reaction, which was the question to ask John Sununu was, are you only supporting Mitt Romney because he's white?
Right.
Is that it? So nothing to do with the issues? You just saw the white guy and you thought, well, I'm not going to vote for the black one, so I'll endorse the white guy.
And that's what racists say, by the way. Racist people always use their kind of logic. They project it onto you. You know, like, hey, why wouldn't he be proud of someone of the same race? What? Because that doesn't bring anybody pride that the same skin color, that somebody did something. That's what a racist feels. That's not what normal people feel.
And it's not what a guy with Colin Powell's record is going to feel. Colin Powell sent men to die.
Yes.
You know, Colin Powell's a serious guy who wrestles with serious issues. Like, I don't know whether I'd be his friend or not, right? But Colin Powell's not a guy who at this point in his life is going to be like, well, I don't know, is one of them black? I'll just vote for him. I'm not really following it. Is one of the guys black?
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying he did.
For Kurtz to be so dismissive of it, like Kurtz needs someone to stand up and use the N-word.
Yes.
Then he'd be like, oh, well, that's racist. But if David Duke just wants to send all the black people back to Africa so he can live in a racially pure community, I don't see what the big deal is.
He's being blunt.
He's just being blunt. He's just being blunt.
He's just being blunt. That's all he's doing. And so let's hear, he has a little bit more to say, Howard Kurtz.
He's the perfect angry white man.
He's inflammatory, which is why he's out there, because he gets attention.
He's inflammatory, which is why he's out there, because he gets attention. Well, what is he saying that's inflammatory? He's saying racist shit. That's what's inflammatory, Howard. How could that thing he said about his skin color be inflammatory any other way but in a racial way? So it's not, you can't say I don't think it's racist, but yes, he's inflammatory, and you can't. Those are two.
It's not 1965, Howard. Racists have figured out that they can't put a sheet on and throw a noose over a tree. Like, this is what it is now. Right? This is what it is, and you need to be able to point it out. You don't have to call John Sununu. Howard Kurtz's job doesn't have to call John Sununu a racist. But at the very least, he's got to be like, well, that's racial code, and that's, you know, our favorite word on the Young Turks. It's a bit racialist.
Right, racialist.
It's a bit racialist.
Yeah. But Howard Kurtz proving, again, why he won the world's shittiest detective 4 years in a row. Really? That doesn't seem racist to you? This whole litany of things that have been happening over the last 4 years, especially over the last year, that Donald Trump still, who's on stage with Mitt Romney, calling for his birth certificate, calling for his passport, calling for his college record.
It's just Trump being inflammatory and blunt.
He's inflammatory.